Yeah. Fraud on the court because of forgeries, yes, and contempt of court, yeah. Mhm. These are actual crimes. And for some reason, you think that I have to go to court on Friday, I have to do it, and if I don't, you're going to arrest me. Now, there are a lot of different words in here. Yes. There are the appointments of those in office. An appointment to a public office? Yes. A recess appointment including a judicial appointment made by the president when the Senate is not in session, subject to the Senate's later ratification. Yeah. Illusionary appointment, a nominal, unduly restrictive, or conditional transfer of property under power of appointment. Yeah. Now, could you get me that in the appointment clause, the clause of the U.S. Constitution giving the president the power to nominate federal judges and various other officials, see U.S. Constitution. That Article 2, what is it, Section 2? Let's say the president appointed Supreme Court justices and they were all sworn in. And I just proved contempt of court because the sheriff didn't do what the court order said. In fact, what you did was you gave the court order to somebody that had no legal right to serve me. Yeah. And that means that the proof of service cannot say that the sheriff served me. Now, these appointed oaths of office, yeah. Some of them are vetted in Congress. Yes. Why don't you get me the vetting process of every appointed oath of office in this nation for the last 40 years? Because when you swore that you would support the Constitution of the United States and the laws, you remember that oath of office, and then you're found guilty of contempt of court, Sheriff Bill Benedict, Sheriff Stanko, and then you think, well, he can't put me in prison. It's a little different when it's a contempt of court of an oath of office. Now, I've kind of explained how this election process works, where let's say you're found guilty of contempt of court because I had informed you, yes, that somebody other than a sheriff had served me in the Squim Public Library, had served me a document that happens to have forgeries on it, had the fraudulent use of the state court seal and happens to be a fraud on the court, and your whole mindset is, I have to go to fucking. There's a little different actual penalty of law for an oath of office to commit the crime of contempt of court. Fraud on the court, forgery, perjury, violating the identities known as the parties and the minors named. Yes. And for some reason, you're kind of getting upset, are you? Well, why don't we look at the actual appointment of those in office? And then the process of the vetting of the United States Congress. Now let's say you got sworn in, and Congress said, yeah, well, it's good enough for us, it's good enough for them. And I'm kind of like, well, I'm going to sue all the appointed oaths of office of this nation that went through a process where Congress said, yeah, we want you to be that individual in office, occupy somebody who's been appointed. A job or position involving some responsibility, a high appointment in the federal government. No, you're thinking that you can have knowledge of this crime of contempt of court. Let's say you work in another city and you were appointed to office for some reason, another county. You're a sheriff in some place other than the county of Clallam or Jefferson County. Yes. And you have knowledge of the contempt of court of a sheriff's department that decided to give the personal information. Now, I can sue every fucking sheriff in this nation. And the way that I see it, I could actually put them all in prison. I had mentioned that there's no lack of actual prisons, and considering the incentives of